Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the host with Beijing TV, Zhang Baochen. It's my great honor to meet all of you in the beautiful Hainan Island, and we're going to have a fantastic night by the sea. It gives me great pleasure to host the forum. First, on behalf of the forum sponsor, the World Federations of Acupuncture Moxibustion Society, and organizer Shijia Zhuang Yingling Pharmaceutical, I would like to express the warm welcome and thanks to you. As we know, TCM is the great creation of the Chinese nation, the treasures of Asian Chinese science, and the key to the Chinese civilization. It contributes a lot to the prosper of the Chinese nation and the world civilization. And acupuncture has been recognized in the world. According to the statistics of WHO, 103 members of it have adopted CTM acupuncture and moxibustion. The methods of acupuncture combined with medicine is a tradition in TCM. Thousands of years ago, Huangdi Neijing and Treatise on febrile and Mendelian disease and other Chinese medicine books have mentioned it. Today, we are honored to invite experienced academicians and experts who are going to share their unique views with us. Now, please allow me to introduce them. The guests present today are academician of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, directors of State Key Lab of Collateral Disease Research and Innovations of Traditional Chinese Medicine, Wu Yingling, welcome. Academicians of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, presidents of the Academy of Chinese Medicine Sciences, Huang Luoqi, welcome. Academicians of Eurasian Academy of Science, presidents of World Federation of Acupuncture Moxibustion Societies, Liu Baoyan, welcome. Deputy Secretary of CPC, Yang Luoyu, welcome. Deputy General Managers of Yingling Pharmaceutical, Zhang Yuling, welcome. Director Assistants of Guangzhou Institute of Respiratory Health and the Changjiang Scholars Program, Yang Zifeng, welcome. Chinese Medicine Deputy Director of China Chamber of Commerce for the Import and Export of Medical and Health Products, Yu Zhibing, welcome. Let's give them a big round of applause to welcome. The first part of the international health industry on the acupuncture and medicinal treatment is the academic forum. And now let's welcome the host to the International Academic Forum to the stage, Yang Longhui. He will host the forum for the next 1.5 hours. Welcome. Good evening, academician Huang Luoqi, academician Wu Yingling, medical expert at home and abroad, and all the guests. I'm pleased to attend the International Health Industry Forum on the acupuncture and medicinal treatment with you in Haikou City. Next, I will host the International Academic Forum, and 4 guests will give special reports in the forum. They are academician Huang Luoqi, academician Wu Yingling, President Liu Baoyan, and Professor Yang Zifeng. The first speaker is academician Huang Luoqi. He is the academician of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, the standing committee members of 13th National Committee of the CPPCC, the special supervisor of the First State Supervisor Commission, the standing committee members of 9th China Association for Science and Technology, the representative of the 15th National People's Congress in Beijing. Now he works as the President, Deputy Secretary of CPC, Dean of the Graduate School of the China Academy of Chinese Medical Science, and is also the leader of the National Chinese Medicine Team to assist Hubei Province and national expert in the steering group. Now, let's welcome academician Huang Luoqi. Oh, thank you. Good evening, academician Wing Li, medical expert and guest. The title of my report is Acupuncture Combined with Medicine and Cross-Discipline, Internationalized the Traditional Chinese Medicine. I was told to talk about acupuncture combined with medicine. In a sense, it's about how to conduct integrative learning. In fact, Max Brooks has a thesis on the cross disciplines. He says that science has intrinsic holistic characteristics. Being divided into separative sections is not because of the nature of things, but the cognitive limitation of the human being. It exists in physics and chemistry and follows a trend including biology, anthropology, and social sciences trend, and the trend cannot be broken. So we need to emphasize the cross disciplines. Besides, the objects of the study is more complicated now. We often call it the complexity studies, or new subjects we bring up, the science of complexity. You can find this on the slide to my left side. These are the keywords when we study the complexity. For example, cross-disciplines and emergence. When we conduct restoration and system integration, the non-existent features will emerge in the part of restoration. Then we call it emergence. And to the right side, you will find the cross-discipline in university. And there is a rich cross-discipline between medicine, engineering, and science. In the ring, the one with more first-level disciplines and more connection between each other has richer cross-discipline. So in the Symposium of Scientists, President Xi stressed that in the face of the complicated subject, we should focus on 4 goals in the science research: to become the frontiers of science and technology in the world, to meet the primary economic market, and to satisfy the great nation needs. These are the goals were known in the past. In this year, we have confronted with the outbreak of COVID-19, the great global public health event since the Second World War. So we add a new goal, which is to ensure human life and health. This is a higher requirement for us. Now we study and predict the trend in the medical industry based on big data and AI. We know that the trend of the medical industry is the integration of multi-disciplines. For this, in the past, Joseph Needham once raised a question called Needham's Grand Question. He asked why modern science only took place in Europe's civilization rather than India and China. I believe you are all familiar with this sentence. At the same time, Needham made another scientific claim. Although the modern science didn't develop in the civilizations of India and China, if there's another scientific revolution in the next century, I dare say it wouldn't be Newtonian or Nicolasian, but Heisenberg. So what does Heisenberg mean? This is to say, if the scientific revolution happens again, it must be based on holistic and dialectical thinking. For us who learn traditional Chinese medicine, we often underline that the holistic view and system theory guide our way of thinking. So the dialectic argument we used implied the dialectical model on thinking. That is to say, the concept of next scientific revolution and the trend of TCM fits perfectly. Okay, now let's go back to the acupuncture combined with medicine. Nelson also said that this discovery reveals the positive connection between the body's surface reaction and the internal organs change, and it's regarded as the significant discovery in the physiology of China in the Middle Age. So far, we are all working on the essence of the regular channels and collaterals. And for after thousands of years, the acupuncture is still vibrant. Here, I'm going to give you some examples. Okay, these two examples come from the Institute of Acupuncture and Moxibustion. For example, the Institute of Acupuncture and Moxibustion and the Institute of Genetics and Developmental Biology in China discovered the main and collateral channels of TCM and the interstitial channel, and includes the Darcy's law, continuity equation, and fixed diffusion law. It achieves the artery, vein, and the branches of channels that Professor Hu mentioned. In fact, there is still a passage between the meridians. With the aid of photofluorography, they have discovered the phenomenon of the interstitial channel in meaty-pigs and published it in the Chinese Journal of Science, Life Sciences. So the cross-discipline has provided the studies on acupuncture with a good method. The second example is that we use the methods of cross-discipline and traditional acupuncture theory on the acupoint and internal organs, and reviews the auricular point, which projects on the solitary tract vagus nerve. The vagus nerve we must talk about is a common body transmission fiber, which is the 10th cranial nerves, the longest and the most widely distributed. This pair of nerves connect many internal organs, and mainly in the respiratory system and the digestive system. Through the research, we discovered the solitary tract fiber directly projected by the auricular branches of vagus in the sense of vagus nervosus. This reveals the auricular point, and vagus nervosus stimulation can adjust the default network of the brain. So you can see that we just an auricular point, right? I remember that in biology, often says that the ear is like an embryo, and it connects with many of the internal organs. Through this research, we elaborate it and find out the fact. And this article has approved by international experts. It includes the chief editors of Biological Psychiatry magazine. He commented the percutaneous auricular electroacupuncture shows the trend of a new therapeutic technique, and believed that it can apply on the neural network accumulated by the depressive disorder and has a connection with the clinical effect. This provides a good substance for us. Through the uncovering of the basic principle and the integration of science and engineering, we developed auricular vagus stimulator and percutaneous cranial auricular electrical stimulator. Combining with the principles with the clinical effect, we developed wearable devices. So to the acupoint-related problems, the academies of TCM also asked the Institute of the Acupuncture and Moxibustion to start a big science project. Meanwhile, the peers abroad, like the American MIH and the MCCIH, also collect opinions on the acupoint-related problems around the world. That is to say, acupuncture and moxibustion has entered into the stage of cross-discipline. I believe in the 21st century, there must be a revelation of this problem and its influence will be equal to Nobel Prize. Therefore, we need to strengthen the top-level design and plan for acupuncture development. First is to anticipate the training of acupuncture. Second, strengthen cross-disciplinary cooperation research. Third, to study the scientific strategy. The first is to promote the technology innovation of the acupuncture. Now I'm going to talk about medicine. Yesterday, I communicated with Mr. Hu. I mentioned the development of foreign medicine, especially in Hainan Island, which plans to be a global free trade port. And how can we exploit the advantages of the food on traditional Chinese medicine? Here, I would like to talk about Hainan Island's positional advantages among the One Belt and One Road. The major traditional medicine systems in the world have concentrated on One Belt and One Road. It's the key link to connect the most active markets for herbal medicine. Hainan Island is at a viable node among the Maritime Silk Road. So we can see how obvious the position advantage of this place. So President Xi specifically instructed that we must support the board innovation in Hainan to promote its free trade port construction. Let's take a look at Hainan's position advantage of medicinal resource. Hainan is the only tropical province in China with rich tropical resources. I dare say that we are lack of resources in respect of the tropical medicinal plant. And what is the reason? As you can see on this map, only Hainan province is in the tropics. So our ancestors seldom discovered or used tropical medicinal plants relatively. Therefore, we need to explore how to take advantages of it and blend the service of TCM with the free trade port construction. Then what can we do? I think we can explore the foreign medicine resources to set up a new health industry on tropical medicine. Here, I will show you some examples. Now, foreign medicine is the main research direction in my team. We often ask ourselves that during the critical moments of the great rejuvenation of China, for us who live in this generation, what can we leave for the next generation? When we look back at history, in the heydays of China, like Tang Dynasty, Song Dynasty, and Ming Dynasty, we have developed many medicinal resources. In the book of Compendium of Material Medical written by Li Shizhen, there is a collection of the foreign medicines that China had used for 50 years. So most of the medical resources we are familiar with, like saffron, crackers, and ginseng, are all foreign medicines. Then, for our generation, what can we do during the critical moment? I set a goal for my team. That is, we need to introduce foreign medicines. Every year, we went abroad to investigate the resources. This is the resources research we conducted in Brazil, Amazon. The condition of the sample resources, we focused on a good local medicinal materials. I believe every country and every nation has its treasures, just like ginseng, which has used for a long time and has sound effect. In Brazil, here's the place we visit. The first step was the investigation. We visited the herbal medicine factory. I see this is the ginseng in Brazil. It is used by the Amazonia for wound healing, impotence, ulceration, and so on. And this is a fertility wood, which has a great effect. You can say it this way. It's just like the time when we did resource research in China. The good plant is recognized by the common people. And we also do some document retrieval and research. Then we find that it has a good bond with the protein related to the testosterone. It proves that the traditional effect is well founded. Okay, now is the second example. This is the research in Tanzania and its neighboring countries. Mastic and mire we often talk about come from Africa. So here is the conditions of musk in Ethiopia, Indian, Somalian, and the market. And this is a medicinal resources investigation in Myanmar. This is a medicinal resources investigation in Laos. Based on the research in Laos, we compiled a Laos herbal pharmacopoeia. During the compilation, one of our methods has been approved by them. We combined the local medicinal resources in Laos and TCM we developed. Like the China herbal pharmacopoeia, the first part is a bud herb, and then we attach the TCM at the end. In this way, it lays the foundation for the TCM when it's introduced to Laos. And we specially gave the Laos herbal pharmacopoeia to the president of Laos, and it was highly recognized by him. So for the past of the foreign medicinal resources, we think that because of the time limitation, I will make it short. We think that we need to focus on 4 parts. First, to collect information, conduct field investigation, and scientific research. Secondly, we need to take 4 steps to authenticate the source, to work on safety evaluation, then to start a functional orientation, and lastly, to turn it into TCM. How to make it into TCM? That is defined as 4 propers and 5 tastes: cold, hot, warm, sour, bitter, sweet, and salty. In this way, we can use it under the guide of TCM theory. And then we need to make the full use of the ethnic Chinese, overseas Chinese, and Chinese-owned enterprises which work abroad and is well connected. Fourth, the key is to make sure whoever develops benefit from its research. As we all know, mocha is an excellent medicine from Peru. When it was introduced in China because of intellectual property rights, all were removed from shelves, and then the medicine's quality declined, and nobody trusts the products anymore. So about these important strategies and methods when we introduce foreign medicine. So we need to rely on the strategy to innovate in theory, technology, standard, and product. Here includes 3 steps under medicinal research, 8 tactics in functional orientation, and 4 compound models. When we enter the stage of compound, the foreign medicines like ginseng, saccharin, from corals, I can compound the medicine under the TCM theory. Above is my report. Thank you. Mr. Huang, thank you for your report. It's wonderful. Academician Huang brought up a very important topic. That is how to advance the innovation development of the TCM through cross-discipline and internationalize the TCM. It also explained the things of acupuncture combined with medicine well. Thank you. Now let's welcome Academician Huilin. Academician Huilin is the academician of the Chinese Academy of Engineering, the famous expert on cardiovascular disease in Chinese medicine, and founder and the academic leader of the collateral disease in Chinese medicine, directors of the State Key Lab of Collateral Disease Research on Innovation of Traditional Chinese Medicine, deputy directors of the Expert Committee of the National Center for Cardiovascular Disease, members of the Chinese Academy of Medicine Science, honorable vice presidents of China Association of TCM. And he's also the vice president of the World Federation of Traditional Chinese Medicine Associations. And now let's welcome academician Wing Lin. Hello everyone. The topic of my report is collateral theoretical guidance, research on preventions and treatments of respiration infectious disease. COVID-19 is raging across the world, threatening humans' lives and health. It reminds us of the pandemic in the last century, with the toll of 50 million to 100 million. In fact, TCM has realized the harm of infectious disease to humans over 2,000 years ago, during the warring state period of China. In the book of Huangdi Neijing, it points out the infectiousness of this kind of epidemic disease. In the Han Dynasty, the treatise on febrile disease by Zhang Zhongjing, the Xinzhuang differentiation of the 6 meridians includes how to prevent and treat this kind of disease. In the preface of the book, he wrote there are 600 members in his family. In 10 years, 2/3 of the members died. That was because of the pandemic. And then he made up his mind to write a book of a treatise on febrile disease. Since then, such kind of pandemic never happened in China. We can say that the TCM plays an important role in it. In the Ming Dynasty, Wu Youke wrote the theories of the plague, especially discussed the treatments of plague. In Qing Dynasty, Ye Tianshi set up the dialectics of Wei Qing Can blood syndrome differentiation and come up with the famous prescriptions of Lin Qiao powder and others. So the theories and treatment left over the 2,000 years have provided a rich experience for us to overcome the flu and COVID-19. Of course, our research is collateral disease, but we're not the one who came up with the concept. In Huangdi Neijing, it already mentioned the concept of branches of channels and collateral disease. Generally, the ancient Asians observed the disease from the clinical point of view, from the chronic disease and long pain transforming to collaterals, which is recurring illness include cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer, and rheumatism. They regard them as collateral disease, while to the invasions of collateral vessels by primary infection includes exogenous febrile disease, the SARS, and COVID-19, which will cause organ injury. Although the Asians attached importance to the theories, none of them was found into any theoretical system. Between 1979 and 1982, I was exposed to the subjects as a graduate student in Nanjing. At that time, I saw the sayings of 2 doctors. Quote, the previous sage have detailed the 12 meridians, but not the collaterals. I have read all the medicine, but there was no mention of collateral disease. Doctors don't know how to cure collateral disease. The more we study, the more we need to learn. Quote, what we 2 doctors say is valuable to the clinic, but the fact is that it didn't develop. So over the 40 years, we studied the collateral disease. With the efforts with the national expert, we have built the collaterals theoretical system, including collateral disease treatment, vein theory, Qi collateral theory, which laid the theoretical foundation for the setup of TCM collateral subject, and is listed in the National Intangible Cultural Heritage. Actually, TCM has a profound understanding of lung and the respiratory disease. When we see the ancient dissection, you know, the part of the lung includes nose, throat, lung tubes, airway, and alveoli. The TCM calls it the lung system, which is the same as modern medicine. So what are the two main functions of the lung? Lung controls the breathing, and all the veins connect with the lung. In turn, the lung will adjust the flow of the blood. The ancients summarize its air change and blood transformation, and is of great guiding significance for us to discuss the respiratory disease treatment. Thus, we uncovered the occurrence regularity of lung disease. The earlier Qi collaterals, the disorder of neuroimmune function, the disorder of Qi collaterals, and the inventions of exogenous pathogenic factors caused airway lesion. Acute and chronic bronchitis and affected the blood network vessel, PHA and PhD, and so on. In 2003, during the SARS, we first came up with the collateral treatment for internal infection by the use of collateral theoresis. The syndrome differentiation of the 6 meridians involves into collateral treatment. The earlier symptoms are in the young collaterals, then the vein in the medium term, and last, the SARS patients won't show any symptoms of three, but it will cause the damages of collaterals in the lung directly, and then will die of lung failure. Based on this understanding, we adopted the replical strategy for active intervention. Based on this strategy, we combined Ma Xing Shigan decoction from Han Dynasty, Intel powder from Qing Dynasty, and also the experience for the plague from Ming Dynasty and the rhodiola rosta in one prescription. At that time, because of its significant inhibition to SARS through the green channel of the Administration of Science and Technology, it entered the drug evaluation and obtained new drug certificates. After that, it works on the influenza A virus and COVID-19. Besides, also have the effect of antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, anti-febrile cough, and phlegm. The lab of Zhong Nanshan proves that Lianhua Wenqing capsule can inhibit the influenza A virus, H3N2, and alleviate lung inflammation. And some of the Chinese academic of science prove that it also can hit an H1N1 and relieve lung inflammation. At the same time, Beijing Yuan Hospital took the lead to carry randomized double-blind and multi-center research in 9 grade A class 3 hospitals. It proved that in spite of virus turning to negative, its effect is equal to Delta, but to the abatements of fever, cough, sore throat, and lack of strength, is evidently benefit than Tamiflu. This time, Lianhua Qingwen played an active role in the prevention and cure of COVID-19. In the first quarter, during the earlier outbreak, 70 million to 80 million Chinese took the Lianhua Qingwen capsules. And 3 cattle mission labs test its effect on viruses and found is antiviral and anti-inflammatory. And some of the Institute of Pharmacology performed experiments on the COVID-19 affecting the big mouse and proved that it can reduce the lung damage of the mouse significantly. And academician 钟南山, academician 李兰娟, and academician 张伯礼 hosted the cure of莲花清瘟 on COVID-19 multi-center clinical research. This medicine can improve the disappearance rate of clinical symptoms, shorten the time of duration, improve the negative rate, the cure rate and the CT rate, and reduce the severe cases. This paper has been published in an international magazine. So far, since 2005, the MHC and MATCM have recommended this medicine for 20 times to cure H1N1, influenza B, Ebola, MERS, and COVID-19. This medicine not only plays an active role in China to deal with the pandemic, but also in more than 20 countries with the registration and marketing authorization. At the same time, in America, the phase 2 clinical trial of this medicine has finished and is about to move to phase 3. During the pandemic, we developed a compound TCM, 莲花清科 tablet, to release the lung heat, relieve phlegm, and relieve cough. For acute bronchitis, we performed a randomized double-blind and multi-center clinical trial and proved that it can reduce the cough rate without any drug-related adverse reaction. That inhibit the COVID-19 and the lung damage of the COVID-19 infected mouse. The RCT of 莲花清科 tablet to cure COVID-19 has proved that it can reduce the cough rate. As we know, the main causes of the COVID-19 patients changing from mild symptoms to severe symptoms is that the bronchs and alveoli are filled with the sticky secretion. TCM's resolving phlegm and relieving cough works well on these problems. Our research proved that it can reduce the secretion, dilute the sputum, and help the patient to spit it out, and then improve the breathing function. Based on this, we proposed the treatment to treat the COVID-19 with antipyretic and detoxification and resolving phlegm and relieving cough. Then we put forward a comprehensive treatment to prevent the invasions of the virus. We used the plant fiber of 莲花清瘟 to produce must. The experiment proved that its virus killing rate of this must is up to 99%. And we also used extract of this medicine to produce indoor air freshener and disinfectants to nurse the inner body. We focus on two physical symptoms. One is the lung heat, and we develop 莲花 drinks to clear away the heat in the lung. Another one is for the weak patient who have many chronic diseases, low immunity, and easy to catch a cold. We developed 莲花玉瓶 granule to improve physical fitness and immunity and reduce the chance of catching illness. So the collateral theory is the precious legacy that our ancestors left for us, It not only has a significant value to guide the clinical of major disease like heart and brain, but also play a positive role in the treatment of flu, SARS, and COVID-19. It was a depth research and will help the collateral theories and 莲花清瘟、莲花清科 and other theories of healthy products benefit the Chinese and all the humankind. Thank you.
has proved to be very effective, especially in extensive clinical treatment. And this very effective formula actually is based upon the well-being theory. And now I'm going to invite our next speaker. Mr. Yang Zifeng. So he is he's an assistant director just from Guangzhou Medical University. He's also a Changjiang scholar, and he's also engaged just in the H5N1 review group. He also joined the H7N9 working force. Distinguished leaders, and I'm just from Guangdong Respiratory Disease Medical Universities, and I also joined one of the working force of academician Zhongnanshan. So this time I'm going to brief you just on how we apply the integrated and the simultaneous use of Chinese medicine and the Western medicine in fighting against the COVID-19. First of all, as we know that in China, we emphasized the simultaneous and the integrated use of the Chinese medicine and the Western medicine. So this also applies just to the fighting against the COVID-19. So if you look at this slide, and you can see that we always emphasize the combination of the Western medicine and the Chinese medicine when we are dealing with the pandemics just throughout the history. It also has been proven that this strategy is very much successful. And this principle emphasizes to leverage the advantages of the Western medicine just within the framework of the TCM. And we also make efforts to innovate the clinical treatment. So from SARS and the chicken flu, and also to the COVID-19, we can see the rate that is. So once the patient is infected, and the patients will just show acute signs and syndromes. So when we treat this kind of disease, we cannot find a simple way, but is just try to eliminate the virus. So the solution could be quite complicated. And for the patients infected with COVID-19, and their lungs are severely damaged. So from the perspective of TCM, when the person is ill, so it is believed that actually this person is affected just by some evil elements. So this understanding of the root cause of illness actually is consistent just with the basic principles that's reflected just in the modern medicine. So under the leadership of academician Zheng Nanshan, our medical team actually has conducted research just over 10 years. And we have found that we only have the knowledge of the number of the virus and some other features of the virus. This is far from enough because we still have to understand the process just for the patient got infected. We need to understand the interactions just between the internal system and the external environment. So it's very important. It's very important for us to find out the etiology and the pathogenesis. So during our years of medical observations and medical research, and we have established several models. And we have screened the existing TCM formula. We also innovate this formula just to fit in the actual situation of the patients. So this time, when we're dealing with the COVID-19, so we found that the application of TCM could be very useful. And in TCM, there's a concept which is called so when the internal system is so weak, and then the human body could be very fragile just due to the evil elements existing just in the external environment. And also we found that if the internal system of the patient is already infected, and we can see the syndrome of inflammatory symptoms. So in Guangdong, we have found that. So when the genes actually appeared to have some morphological changes, and then the patients will get very severe syndromes. And so in the case of a very severe, the bird flu, so we can see that this patient just has the replication of the virus just during the whole process, and this replication actually lasted for 3 years. So from the perspective of TCM, we need to work out the formula which could help to eliminate the evil elements existing both in the internal system of the patient as well as just in the external environment. So for those patients, just with very severe syndromes of influenza. So our medical observation has found that the throat and also the respiratory tract have been severely infected. So in our observation of the H7N9, so this kind of virus is communicable very easily, this also leads to a very high incidence rate. So this is how we understand how a person just got sick. So this is a case just this is a case just for a patient who actually has very severe syndromes. So for these COVID-19 patients, and we just did the follow-up examinations just for quite a long time. And we have found that those patients who have those chronic disease and who are very weak just in their physique, and then it's very easy for them to be infected by the COVID-19. And some of them are very much easy to have the bleeding. So there are also some changes just in the lungs of the patient. So we have found that over 70% of those COVID-19 patients have shown a lot of very sticky liquid just in the lungs. So from the perspective of TCM, so we will think that so they have too much phlegms there, and we need to work out a formula which could help to eliminate the damp coat syndrome. So just through our experiment just on the mice, so we could see that. So just when those mice are infected just with mild syndromes, and then the TCM actually has shown a very significant efficacy. And for those mice, we think that mice is actually a very good option just for us to conduct the COVID-19 experiment, because compared to just with other animals, and those other animals are not very much likely to show a very critical or severe syndromes, but it is very easy for us to make the mice show these very severe syndromes. So this slide actually just to show our the model just for the study of the bird flu. So for those influenzas, just as other diseases, so they are communicable very easily. And when you conduct the mice experiment, so we can see we can see that so actually these animals actually behave a little bit similar just with human beings. So when they are being infected just by those viruses. We also have a very close contact just with the researchers in Japan and also in the United States. So just through our research collaborations, so we have made a lot of publications. We also have earned those national awards just for our research on the application of TCM. And we do believe that TCM could contribute just as at least as one of the very effective options to deal with those diseases. So we also screen those existing, especially the ancient Chinese, traditional Chinese formula. So we have found that, especially for some of the Chinese herbal medicines, so they could help us to eliminate the evil elements just within and outside the body of the patients. So just through establishing the virus replication model, so we have seen that those Chinese herbal medicine have shown the ability to inhibit inflammation. So this kind of Chinese herbal medicine can help to deal with various kinds of influenza. So generally speaking, we say that so for those selected Chinese herbal medicines actually have shown the abilities to antivirus and anti-inflammation functions. So we have published our research results just in science. So we have shown how to develop the influenza treatments just through using the traditional Chinese medicine. So we believe that this at least could be one of the important directions just for future research. So just based upon our previous research just on the functions of the traditional Chinese medicine, and this actually has built up our confidence just in using the TCM just to cope with the COVID-19. And we think that we could leverage the TCM's concept of eliminating the evil elements both inside and outside of the body of the patients, and also we could, based upon the basic concepts of TCM, to establish the antivirus assessment system. So now we have found that the Lianhua Qingwen capsule has been very effective, and of course Lianhua Qingwen is only just one of those existing TCM, and we're still screening some other existing TCM because we want to repurpose these existing Chinese herbal medicines so that we could effectively fight against the COVID-19. So during our research, we also have high interest just in the fever, in the anti-fever theory, which is used just in the TCM. And just through the experiments in both China and in the United States, so they all have shown that the Lianhua Qingwen has shown the ability to inhibit MERS. It's also Lianhua Qingwen also is a very effective large compound Chinese painted medicine. So our research also has been published just in the pharmacological research. So these results actually have shown the future direction just for the clinical research. So just now I briefed you several points just in our clinical research, but here I also want to emphasize the equal importance just for the basic research. So, in addition to those research published in those famous medical journals, so part of them are also published just in the fetal medicine, which showed the functions of the traditional Chinese medicine just in dealing with those epidemics. So TCM especially in the era of COVID-19, has shown very high efficacy, not only to those mild cases, but also to those very severe and even the critical cases. It is also very much helpful just to reduce the conversion rate from the mild syndrome just to the severe syndrome. I'm sure that the global medical community will have more confidence in the traditional Chinese medicine. So after they have know more just about how TCM has been applied just to this COVID-19 fighting. So the Linhua Qinwen actually has helped to establish an anti-NCP molecular mechanisms.
那么进一步往深挖，我们也关注到莲花清的莲其实很重要的一个药就是壳，这也是很多新冠中国的一些方里面的一个常用的。
So just in this Lianhua Qinwen formula, we have used many very important Chinese herbal medicines.
比较高了。那么在这个基础上，我们确实也发现它对新冠有体外因作用，包括红斑使用而且它的 SI 指数。So
the extensive use of Lianhua Qinwen has shown that these Chinese herbal medicines have shown the function a very high degree of dynamic features just to fight against the virus. So it also has shown a very strong ability to inhibit the virus. Especially the TNF-A and the IL-1 beta.
我们可以看到这个过程，它都是有一个内外邪监视的这么一个特点。
So this Chinese herbal medicine actually has just cut off the interaction route just between those evil elements within and those evil elements just outside the patient's body.
所以这个呢，也应该说我们这些临床用的中药的方剂呢。
So this formula has been used just in the clinical treatment, but also based upon a very reliable TCM theories. So for the Lianhua Qinwen formula, so just through our publications on it, so we actually have received a very positive response just from the foreign medical communities. So one of them is Professor Emilio Clemente. So he showed interest in our study, but still he needs to know more about our research on TCM. So later on, we just showed him our results, which is based on evidence. So finally, he was convinced, and he also helped us to promote the TCM just to the global medical community. So in the future, we will further research just on how to strengthen the antivirus mechanisms, just through repurposing the existing Chinese medicine. So there's another thing I want to mention is the TCM also emphasizes not just the treatment but also the prevention. So this year we further emphasized how to further integrate both with Chinese medicine and the Western medicine just in the future research. So we hope that we could work out a better way to integrate the concepts just in the Chinese medicine as well as in the Western medicine. So this is an integration not only between the East and the West, but also between the past and between the past and present. And recently, just through the hard work of my colleagues, we have established a very effective collaboration platforms. And over the past 5 years, we have published as a group over 50 research papers, and 40 of them have been collected just by the SCI. We also have won the awards at both the national provincial levels. We also were awarded the prize just for the contributions in the fighting of the COVID-19. So I do hope that in the future, just through our collaboration among the multidisciplinary efforts, so we will just further advance the TCM.
Thank you, Professor Yang. He has illustrated the importance of combining Western and the TCM in the treatment of the diseases, especially in terms of the infectious disease. So such a combination of TCM and Western medicine has a great future. Now the next speaker is Mr. Liu Baoyan. Professor Liu Baoyan is the president of the World Federation of Acupuncture and Moxibustion Society, member of the Eurasian Academy of Sciences. As well as many other important affiliations. He has been in charge of a number of major national projects. Now please welcome Mr. Liu. Thank you for your introduction. Actually, I am no longer in one of the positions that was just introduced. Today, I will talk about reflections of the wisdom in TCM. When in an age of big data, and we face unprecedented opportunities, but how to make use of such opportunity to better tap into the wisdom of TCM. President Xi Jinping has made very important remarks about the TCM. He said TCM is the key to open up the treasure house of Chinese people. And he also said the TCM is also represents a gem in ancient science. So what is the difference between ancient science and modern science? Can ancient science shine in the same way as modern science does? Now let's look at the composition of the physical world. The world consists of three factors. One is energy, the other second is information, and the third is materials. Without materials, we will not have this physical world. the energy supports the operation of the world.
物质在能量层面上运作，它必然表现在外头有一种状态。
So
你这里有没有那种
这种状态会随着时间，它会呈现出来一种过程和规律。
we can see the regularities in the operation of the world and also the flow of energy. And the information indicates the status of the movement of the energy and also the regularities in the physical world.
先一个小看一下，我想一下。
如果从物质的观点来研究，它所采用的方法
If we study from the perspective of a material,
和从信息角度来研究，它是不一样的。
actually we would arrive at the different conclusions from the way we study from the perspective of information.
是无限可能它是唯物还是说变成唯物，它是唯物论而这个物质可分的这种观点
Materialism believes that all the particles of the world can be further divided in an infinite way.
那么这种观点呢，是一个什么观点呢？就是一种还原论观点，还原就是我
So this is reductionism, meaning that we will go to the finer, increasingly finer particles of the world.
如果没有这些技术，
And we need to make analysis of those small particles in order to understand the essence of movements and the changes of the physical world. So that's what we mean by reductionism. We use the methodologies of separation, analysis in order to answer some fundamental questions.
的东西给它分离开来。那么在他研究的时候，他肯定认为这个物质东西它和环境是没有关系的。
And answered many fundamental questions. However, it's too simplified. Actually, this kind of analysis only considers the materials. It's a simplistic interpretation of the world. Actually, we can also look at the world from another perspective, which is from the information perspective. And then we will take a more holistic view. The previous material perspective studies the physical world, but the information perspective is a phenomenon. which actually takes into account the environment.
它也不是这个事物本身的现象，它是每个局部的现象。
So, the different parts add up may not form a whole. So, from the information perspective, you actually have to take into account the natural environment and also the psychological environment. So, from the information perspective, you are taking a more holistic view. It's different from the previous reductionism. It actually examines the world from the outsider's perspective. You observe the world as a third party. You collect all sorts of phenomena and trying to interpret the phenomena by following induction. So based on extensive observation, you find out the correlation between the phenomena and also the various reasons. In this way, you can understand how to manipulate the phenomena and how to achieve a certain status. So this is the values of different perspectives. And from the material perspective, you can answer some fundamental questions, but for the information perspective, you cannot answer the fundamental questions, but you can find out ways to regulate the phenomena. And so for modern science, it's more inclined to the it's built upon the physical analysis of the materials. But for ancient science, it studies the information. That's a different approach. In modern science, methodologies such as separation, division, screening are used to study the nature of the materials. In contemporary science, based on the high-tech or information technology or big data, etc., and AI. So contemporary science has managed to analyze the information at a higher level than that in ancient science. So if we say religion represents the ancient science, and then we are now elevating the ancient science into the contemporary science through the adoption of modern technologies. TCM is a system of smart medicines. In such a system, it focuses on the human. So it's different from Western medicine, because in Western medicine it analyzes human body in terms of the histology, and cells and molecular studies, etc. But in TCM, it takes a different approach. Its systems consists of the disease prevention system and health protection system. The TCM has also brought about huge progress in disease control and prevention. China has changed the Ministry of Health into the healthcare and the Health Commission. Changed the Ministry of Health into the Health Commission. For TCM, it doesn't study human bodies as materials. It studies human beings, human bodies as information, because it studies how the internal problems of a human body are reflected in the external phenomena. We can regulate the body functioning through the intervention of a TCM. In TCM, we try to find out the correlation between the interventions and the phenomena of a human body. So this is what TCM is all about. Through such a study, you understand through what ways you can achieve what kind of a status, how, why you can make such a change. We cannot explain. So we only know how to do it, but we cannot explain. So this is what the TCM is all about. It adopts a holistic perspective. It views human body as a whole and examines the external phenomena, and also takes into account the social environment, the culture, the philosophy, and the natural environment into account. So that's why TCM is very much different from the Western approach. So how does the TCM relate interventions with the human body? For the Western medicine, they identify the targets. In TCM, it views human body as a very complex system, and also the medicines are also as a very complex system. For one single herbal medicine, actually it consists of hundreds of active ingredients, and also for one single acupoint, it can be used to treat dozens of diseases. And also the performance of the human body is also a very complex system. So TCM has identified a very good way to combine interventions with people's status. Actually, Shenlong, the founder of agriculture in China, according to Chinese legends, well, he has actually tasted hundreds of herbs and identified the functions of those herbs. the same patient. Actually, when diagnosed by different doctors, they would come into different conclusions because they view the patients from different perspectives. So that's why different doctors may have different interpretations of the patient's symptoms. So this graph shows how a doctor diagnoses a patient by using the TCM systems. And then how to find out the right interventions. So based on the theories and the experience, doctors would perceive the patients, and in this perception, he will look at the symptoms shown by the disease, and then through the processing in the brain, and then the doctor will try to find out the causes of the symptoms, and then to make a decision about the interventions, or to choose acupoints for treatment. And then based on the reaction of the patient, and then the doctor would make adjustment about the therapy in order to further improve the effect. So in this way, we can see this diagnosis process actually connects the perception of the external symptoms with the interventions. So how do we perceive? We rely on our neural system or network to perceive information. And then the information is then conveyed to the brain, and then this information is further processed in the brain. So what you have seen is being interpreted based on the background information, and experience stored in the brain. And then the decisions made by the doctor will be applied to the patient. So, and then we can form a kind of a closed loop, because the doctor will further examine the reactions from the patients after the application of his therapy. So in this kind of a closed loop, we can see the central role of the thinking system based on the information and the knowledge and experience. So the core skills of a TCM is wisdom. So how do we modernize such a system? By using the modern technology. How to elevate the ancient wisdom into modern science. In order to bring the role of TCM into better play. So for this modern technologies, we are talking about big data, internet, IoT, cloud computing, and wearable technologies. these technologies can be used to collect information through more precise perception of information, because through such technologies we can have full-scale sensing and perception through scanning, through measurements, etc. So we can actually see the second step is reliable transmission. And then the information, after being reliably transmitted, will be processed in a smart way. We can use the high-performance computer to process a huge amount of information. So this is the advantage of the internet age. There is still another type of equipment, which is wearables. So those wearables can collect, transmit, and identify data in a very reliable way. You can see wearables actually cover a wide range of fields. It can be used in so many settings. Actually, the information collected by the wearables may not may not be up to the standard required by the TCM. We still further improve the quality of the data to be collected by all the modern technologies. I believe with the adoption of those modern technologies, we can improve the quality of our diagnosis, and then to improve the effect of TCM treatment. And we can improve the abilities of the doctors in diagnosis and in decision making. So if all the skills required in the TCM diagnosis can be digitalized, for instance, perception of the symptoms and asking about the symptoms and medical record, history, and also to feel the pulse. If this is made possible, then the healthcare industry would be transformed. And then the TCM would be elevated into the modern science, contemporary science, and the whole TCM industry would be revolutionized. And in this way, the machine intelligence and human intelligence can be combined. As we know, human intelligence and machine intelligence have their own respective deficiencies. However, through the complementation of advantages, this kind of a blend intelligence will enable the doctors to significantly improve their ability. And then the brain of the doctors would just function like the brain of a leading doctor. So we will try to standardize the diagnosis. Even for young doctors, they can very quickly move to the top rank of the doctors by using the modern technologies. So am I just talking about the pipe dreams? Actually, we can find out the interface between the brain and the machine. This would be a huge step forward. I believe that would be a possible way in the future to greatly enhance the quality of TCM diagnosis and effect. Actually, in smart medicine TCM, we first need the data. We need to digitalize the data. Second, we need the technological support. For instance, IoT and wearables, etc. The third factor was data and technology. We still need one more factor, which is a human thinking power. So these three factors form a triangle of smart TCM. And focusing on these three aspects, we have done some work. For instance, in terms of data collection, we have digitalized the medical records of the patients. So everything has been restructured, including the outpatients records and the hospitalized patients records, etc. So we have also set up a quality assurance system in information digitalization. If we collect garbage information, and then we will only produce garbage information. So we have done a lot to ensure the quality of the data. So we have also enhanced the interdepartmental sharing of the data. Second, we have also compiled the cover page of medical records of the patients. So in the cover page, where you can see the major information about the patients, mainly including 6 or 7 indicators. We have also vigorously promoted the development of the health information platform at the grassroots level or at the community level. We have also set up the TCM remote diagnosis system. So with the data, how to make use of the data? We have also developed a set of rules, standards for the assessment, and also for human-machine collaboration in data use, also in data transmission, storage, and integration. We have also built up the TCM Big Data Center. So this is some of the work we have done. So how to apply the data? We need to use the data to generate insights and new knowledge. So we have also developed a wide range of methodologies to use the data in an effective way in fighting against the coronavirus. We have also analyzed the Wuhan data. And also these kind of digitalized data has proved to be very effective in boosting the application of DCM in treating and controlling the spread of coronavirus. So I believe by leveraging the advantages of modern technologies such as big data and AI, we can elevate the ancient TCM into modern TCM, and then to bring the potential of TCM into full play, because TCM has already developed the health system more than 2,000 years ago. It's time for us to modernize it. Thank you.
So many thanks for your excellent speech. So just now you have shown us that TCM actually could be seen just as a system which integrates Chinese wisdom. So in order to advance the TCM modernization, and we could leverage the new technology. So now this is the end just for the first session of this evening's forum. So many thanks for all your contributions. So in the difficult times to fight against COVID-19 in China, we actually have accumulated a lot of clinical experiences. So now I'm going to show you the videos just on how the Chinese medical workers fighting against the COVID-19.
处理肺炎病例与华南海鲜城有关联。武汉
这个还是有出现武汉的普遍性的。
境内累计报告新增3例，机场火车站离汉通道暂时关闭，无特殊原因市民不要离开武汉。
以后我会被固定在轮椅上，那我现在为什么不做座椅？这一辈子我会的呀，我这我几个病人啊。
首先，我们现在这一组最担心的是防出日子以后，因为听说他的安救口罩已经不够了，那么到后站已经没有这个口罩了。
因为那个忘记了，确实很苦。我们又做了一个用温者所能做的一切。出院有这么的消息，在被武汉的武汉市立医院首批以中医药和中西医结合方式治愈的新型冠状病毒感染肺炎患者，昨天3号出院。
信心百倍的打好这一场主题赛、终极赛，打好这一场人民战争我们一定要胜利，一定会胜利。
都传给他，我不准备换，坚持到最后一个比开始练。
这
我们的话与各国人民并肩作战，共抗疫情，分享中医药的经验和成果。
这里要感谢2个月一次医护人员、中药对我起到很大的作用。
也有思想准备要来，甚至自己想申请来，但是来那个瞬间。
这个健康保卫跟食药署的研发专家的合作，细里有仔细，聪明思路感，带感我们搞的这个计划。通过武汉和全国援鄂医护人员的共同努力，至4月26日，武汉在院新冠肺炎患者清零。
So after we have seen this video just on the frontier medical workers, we are deeply touched. So this evening, I also feel very happy to see that among you, many actually are the medical workers and the medical experts. So here, I'd also like to take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude to your hard work. So in the first session of this evening's forum, we have heard many excellent remarks just from those academicians. So now we are going to start the second session, which is the International Industrial Forum. And now, just in the fighting against the COVID-19, the China's solution, which is represented by the 3 drugs and the 3 medical formula, have given a lot of opportunities for the patients, and also has shown the Chinese experience just to the global medical community. So now we welcome the first speaker just for this session. So now we will invite Ms. Zhang Yunling as Executive Vice President of Yilin Pharmaceutical. So distinguished academicians and distinguished Chairman Liu and the Vice President Yang, distinguished leaders and guests, greetings from Hainan. I'm very much delighted to have this opportunity to share my views here. So the latest data have shown that the cumulative number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 worldwide has exceeded 60 million, and resulting in more than 1.4 million deaths since the outbreak of COVID-19, which has caused the most extensive infections unseen in the past century. China has given swift response and effectively prevented and controlled this disease. At the recent meeting in Beijing to commend role models in the country's fight against the COVID-19, President Xi Jinping reaffirmed the great contributions of TCM to fighting against the epidemic. He said that in the early days, there were no effective drugs and vaccines for the virus. We integrated TCM and the Western medicine treatment of TCM, formed 8 editions of national diagnosis and carefully selected effective formulas represented by 3 drugs and 3 formulas, which have been recognized by many countries. Our successful experience in the fight against the epidemic has shown the world the unique charm of TCM as the Oriental wisdom, and also provided a new historic opportunity for TCM to go global. Academician Zhang Boli, who won the national honorary title of the People's Hero, said, "The pandemic knows no borders and the disease knows no race. In the year 2020, the shared aspiration of mankind is to defeat the pandemic as soon as possible." China's solution, represented by 3 drugs and 3 formulas, is a highlight in the fight against the pandemic. Worldwide, the white paper released in June confirmed that TCM has played an important part in the prevention, control, and treatment of COVID-19. It also pointed out that Chinese herbal formulas and drugs were administered to 92% of all confirmed cases in Hubei province. More than 90% of confirmed cases received TCM treatment that proved the effectiveness rate of over 90%. Lianhua Qingwen capsule and other Chinese patented drugs have been proven effective in clinical treatment, which effectively reduce incidence rate, the rate of conversion, and the mortality rate. That promotes the conversion of a nucleic acid to the negative and improves the recovery rate. And from the 4th to the 8th edition of Diagnosis and Treatment Protocol for COVID-19, jointly released by the NHC and the State Administration of TCM, China patented medicine, including Lianhua Qingwen, were recommended. So coping with the global public health crisis highlights the urgency and significance in building a community with a shared future of mankind. So TCM is one of the representatives of China's civilization, and sharing TCM with the world is not only the responsibility of China to the international community, but also a manifestation of the self-confidence of the Chinese nation. In the past, the biggest challenge for TCM to go global resulted from the cultural shock between China and the West, and the foreign nations cannot understand the TCM. In addition, the laws on drug registration and approval differ among nations, so this has restricted the promotion and the popularization of TCM worldwide. And in March this year, on the Journal of Pharmacological Research, the medical team of Zhou Nanshan published their research. Lianhua Qingwen exerts antiviral and anti-inflammatory activity against COVID-19. It reviewed the pharmacological basis for the effective clinical treatment. It confirmed that LH significantly inhibited SARS-CoV-2 replication and markedly reduced pro-inflammatory cytokinase production, as well as so as to give full play to the activity of a novel coronavirus. So in May, academicians Zhou Nanshan, Li Lanjuan, Zhang Boli, and other experts in association with over 20 designated hospitals for COVID-19 published their research just on fetal medicine, an influential journal in Europe. So the latest research has shown that Lianhua Qingwen capsule significantly inhibited the COVID-19 related syndromes like fever, fatigue, cough, affected virus, morphology in lungs, and shortened the duration of symptoms and improved the recovery rate. So the latest publication of those TCM research has aroused increasing attention from the world. And many experts worldwide in the interview has shown that it is worth learning from the Chinese experience. And the academician Zhang Boli in an interview mentioned that in recent months he had exchanged experience with dozens of countries in integrated use of TCM and Western medicine, and they have shown He said, high interest in this approach and asked me a lot of questions. The HaiWaiNet.com of People's Daily released a report on the changes on the international status of TCM in the COVID-19 era. It said that the overseas media has shown increasing interest in TCM. The proportion of positive reporting on TCM has been on rise. So recently, Yiling Pharmaceutical has made great efforts just in the R&D of COVID-19. So in 2013, the Nature Reviews Drug Discovery commented on the evidence-based medicine research results of a Qi capsule in the treatment of chronic heart failure. I see that this is a very valuable Chinese therapy option. So in March 2019, academician Zhang Yun just led the randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled, multi-centered clinical study on the application of Tongxingluo TXL in the treatment of carotid plague. So Lianhua Qingwen capsule earned its reputation in the fight against COVID-19. It is also evidence-based. And the research has shown that Lianhua Qingwen capsule was superior to oseltamivir in relieving influenza symptoms, especially fever, cough, headache, muscle soreness, and fatigue. So for the high efficacy, Lianhua Qingwen capsule won the second prize of National Science and Technology Progress Award in 2011. So now, Lianhua Qingwen is the first large compound Chinese patented medicine to enter FDA clinical trials for the treatment of influenza and is currently undergoing phase 2 trials to evaluate efficacy and safety. And now it is at the data analysis stage. So based on Luo Bing theory, we have built a TCM platform for internationalization and innovation, achieving a series of important scientific research results. So in 2019, Yiling Pharmaceutical Research Institute won the first prize of National Science and Technology Progress Award, which is also the only annual highest award in the field of medicine and health. So after years of efforts, the Luo Bing theory has gradually become known by the outside world. And since the release of the English version of the Luo Bing theory, Canada, Europe, and the United States have established the Luo Bing Association. So the international conference on Luo Bing related diseases has been held for 16 times. And we also, Yiling Medical Research Institute has cooperated with many international medical research institutions, such as Cardiff University, Leiden University in the Netherlands, Harvard University Medical Heart Research Center. So these achievements resulted from Yiling Pharmaceuticals' pursuit of innovation as a core competitiveness for more than 20 years. And we know that from the establishment of a theoretical system of TCM by the inner canon of Huangdi in Ming, Qing, and Han, Qing and Han dynasties, to the emergence of pestilence studies in the Ming and Qing dynasties, and then to the discovery of artemisinin. Innovation is the fundamental driving force to push the development of TCM move forward. So the mission of Yiling Pharmaceutical is inheritance and innovation for mankind. So over the past 4 decades of reform and opening up, China's pharmaceutical industry has achieved remarkable progress. However, we also are fully aware of the huge gap between Chinese pharmaceutical enterprises and the international giants. So to further strengthen the international collaborations, so Yiling Pharmaceutical in April this year established an international trade center which aims to help TCM to go global while introducing the advanced technology and the products into China. So now, Lianhua Qingwen capsule, as our leading product, has registered in nearly 20 countries and regions, and is applying to register in dozens of nations. And Kuwait is the first country for Lianhua Qingwen capsule to register overseas, and Uzbekistan listed Lianhua Qingwen capsule just in its white list of anti-epidemic drugs. So, in addition, Lianhua Qingwen capsule serious respiratory products products have also been developed. So now, our Chinese patented medicine has been approved to enter the United States, Canada, Singapore, Thailand, Australia, and New Zealand. So at the same time, Yilin Pharmaceutical also innovated trading services combining traditional wellness and modern healthcare technology. Yilin Pharmaceutical has established Yilin Health City, fostering an integrated industrial chain involving medicine, pharmacy, health, and wellness. It has won the title of International Medical and Health Tourism Demonstration Base and has received more than 2 million visits from home and abroad. So regarding a group of disorders related to muscular myotrophy, such as myasthenia gravis and multiple sclerosis, so the experts team of Yilin Hospital have made breakthroughs and taken the lead in this field by using TCM therapy. So, as the COVID-19 is rampant worldwide, more and more international patients have come to realize the advantages and importance of TCM. So, in response to a global health emergency, and Yilin Pharmaceutical will make contributions to leveraging TCM to jointly build a healthcare community with a shared future for mankind.
Thank you. Lianhua Qingwen has achieved remarkable achievements in fighting against the coronavirus. So the Lianhua series of respiratory disease medicine have been developed to fight against the infectious respiratory disease. Now please watch a video showing this series of Lianhua products. A day you will breathe for over 20,000 times. The coronavirus brings your attention to breathing. It's time for you to know Lianhua. WHO experts are very much interested in what kind of TCM medicine we used. Lianhua Qingwen is truly effective. It improves the breathing of the patients. It lowered the mortality rate. The victims of the virus include 2 types. Number 1 is the weak people with a low immune system. Second is the people with heat in their lungs. Setting up the respiratory system, health management system is a pressing task. Killing the bacteria, virus, protection, clear away the heat from the lungs, improve the quality of breathing. We should clean up the environment, kill the virus and the bacteria in the air. For the protection series, to shelter off the risks, and the lung clearing series to purify the respiratory tract. This is also for spraying your throat. This is a series to improve your immune system. Lianhua offers a full range of products to take care of your health. It's based on the Luo Bing theory and also the philosophy of keeping your health. From today on, with the protection of Lianhua, you can enjoy your life and breathe deeply as you like and embrace health. Thank you for launching such a series of solutions. For instance, the products you see on the table, I actually tried this. Just use one pill, and then it will really fresh you up. You can try those solutions by yourself. Over the past years, the TCM has not only served the Chinese people, but also overseas population. In YouTube's, a lot of audience have also been following our forum. Over 2,000 years ago, TCM was introduced into Japan, Korea, and then later to Europe. So what about the development of a TCM in other countries? Now, please warmly welcome Mr. Yu Zhibin, Director of the TCM Department of China Pharmaceutical and Health Products Export and Import Association. Now, please. I'm greatly honored to be invited by Yiling to attend this forum, as we are now moving into late night. We are still actually followed by over 3,000 overseas viewers. 20 years has passed. Let's look at how TCM has developed in other countries. We need to make use of the modern technologies and the modern platforms to analyze the development of TCM overseas. This is the content of my presentation. First, a review of the TCM medicine trade in the past 10 years, and then the analysis of the different types of TCM products and also the difficulties TCM medicine has gone through, and the reflections about the future development. This is the trend showing the export of TCM medicine from 2009 to 2019. So this is the import of TCM medicine. We have seen the fluctuations and ups and downs. the introduction of the Belt and Road Initiative has generated huge opportunities for the import of TCM medicine. This is the export of TCM medicinal materials and prepared herbal medicine, and also the export trend of the plant extracts from 2009 and to 2019. This is the dynamic analysis of plant extracts export, and also the export of finished TCM medicine. We don't really see much change. Very small range fluctuations, and this is the export of finished Chinese medicine. I mean the percent of finished TCM medicine, and this is the top 10 markets of the TCM medicine. The first one is United States, followed by Japan and Hong Kong of China, then Korea, Malaysia, India, Germany, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Taiwan of China. So to look over the past 10 years, we can see the export of TCM medicine has entered into a platform period. However, the import trade is still growing very fast, and the extracts export is accounting for a higher and higher percentage. And extracts has targeted at the American market. The TCM medicinal materials target the Japan market, and ASEAN is the main market of finished TCM medicine export. Now let's look at the different types of TCM medicine, the medicinal materials and the prepared herbal medicine. In 2019, the export volume of medicinal materials and prepared herbal medicine totaled 202,000 tons. 1.7% growth year on year, and its export volume reached $1.14 billion, 10.3% up from the same period last year. So this is the typical medicinal materials and the prepared herbal medicine, and these are the top 10 exports for it, including the Japanese and Korean markets. Now, we have also met with some difficulty in export. For instance, over 60 times the exported medicinal materials and prepared herbal medicine was confiscated or seized or returned by the EU, US, Japan, Korea, Australia, and Canada. And the reasons for seizure or rejection include the residual pesticide or health problems or additives, etc. And in the future, well, we should also pay more attention to the import of the TCM medicinal materials from all parts of the world, because we have seen very massive growth in 2019, a growth rate of 62.8%, almost doubling the amount in 2017. So the imported medicinal materials include the American ginseng and the ganzao. The import bounced back to 18,000 tons, and year-on-year growth of 32.2%. And the American ginseng import has increased by 102.5%. And Ruxiang also the imported volume reached 4,632 ton, and year-on-year growth of 320%. The Jianghuang's imported volume reached 14.8 thousand tons, year-on-year growth of actually it has grown by almost 28% year-on-year. So these are the plant extracts, and the top 10 markets of plant extracts, including America, Japan, India, Indonesia, Spain, Germany, France, etc. So America is still, the United States is still the #1 market for the plant extracts. Now let's look at finished TCM medicine. It's an export market. In 2019, the finished herbal medicine export reached 12.6 thousand tons, 12.21% up from the same period last year, due to the impact of the falling export price. The export volume slightly dropped by 0.45%, which was $263 million. And this is the top 10 markets for finished TCM medicine trading. Hong Kong of China ranks in #1 place, followed by Japan, Singapore, etc., mainly in those Southeast Asian countries. And here are the most popular finished Chinese medicine for exports, including Fufang Erjiao, 六味地黄丸, 华佗再造丸, etc. So these kind of medicines sell pretty well in the overseas market. And they have consolidated their market position. For the first half of this year, we have seen the export of TCM medicinal materials growing by 18.51% year-on-year. And we have seen the export of medicinal materials related to fighting against the COVID-19. For instance, Ma Huang, Huangqi, Danggui. Because these kind of materials are used as raw materials for preparing medicine for COVID-19. So the export of such materials increased by 5 to 51% respectively for the first half of this year. We still see difficulties for the development of TCM medicine in other countries. According to WHO statistics, 29 countries have already formulated laws and regulations on traditional medicine, and 18 have already incorporated acupuncture into their national health care insurance system, but for the finished TCM medicine, well, they have only been registered as drugs in EU, Australia, Canada, Russia, Cuba, Vietnam, Singapore, and UAE. In many more countries, there have not been any law on traditional medicine, and finished Chinese medicine can only be used as a food. So we still have not seen any finished TCM medicine which have been registered with the FDA, and in the EU, only very few Chinese medicine have been registered there. And in Russia, Australia, Canada, Singapore, Indonesia, and Brazil, there have also been sporadic successful cases of registration of a finished TCM medicine. So in general, the sales of finished TCM medicine is not very successful in other countries. We need to reflect about the reasons. We need to further boost the sales of those TCM medicine in other countries. And here you can see the progress of international registration of finished TCM medicine, including Fufang Danshen D1, Guizhifulin capsules, etc. So we still feel uncertain about how to proceed with our next steps. I hope Hehua Qingwen can gain more popularity, because Lianhua Qingwen has its advantages based on its treatment effect. So we have also done some statistics in 9 overseas markets, including EU. And also in Canada, in Australia, Singapore, Vietnam. I believe the Chinese medicine still has a big potential in the overseas market. Now, coming to the difficulties in the overseas development of TCM medicine, in addition to the registration, actually TCM medicine sometimes contain ingredients which are forbidden in some countries, such as Zhusha, Xionghuang, Ma Huang, etc. And in Singapore, some minerals are also forbidden in the poison laws. So this has also caused additional barriers to the promotion of sales of TCM in those countries. For the sales channels, we have many relied on the agency model. That means we only deliver the goods through the customs, and then are not engaged in the follow-up sales. And for each enterprise, they do not have the scale to form its own channels or sales network. And the overseas clinics, they cannot sell the finished TCM drugs. They do not have that kind of a qualification. And for the pharmacy in the Western countries, they also cannot sell the finished TCM drugs in a very successful way. And also, well, we should make use of the golden opportunity brought by the successful application of TCM medicine such as Lianhua Qingwen to explore the overseas market. And that's something that we should really truly work on. Actually, we have 3 prescriptions and 3 medicines that have proved to be very successful regarding the future development. We should work well with the localization strategy, because the core concept of medicine is sharing. We should localize the medicinal resources, because the guiding principle of the Belt and Road Initiative is the joint development and extensive consultation and the shared benefits. So for TCM, we should also respect the cultures of different countries, and we should avoid the misunderstanding of the introduction of TCM as a kind of a cultural invasion. So through localization, the local government and the people can better perceive, accept the TCM, and also we should make use of the local resources, the local labor, to achieve local production and use. And we should also combine product with the services. That means investment and acquisition, technology and IP and education should go hand in hand. And cross-border investment is the best way to get around the trade barriers. So we should also combine the trading goods and the trading services. In the past, we only relied on the trading goods, but we should also propel the development of the trading services in order to complement each other and to achieve a coordinated development. We should rely on the support from the Ministry of Commerce and the state TCM administration to develop our service bases. And we should also build up our own overseas drug circulation system, because only by developing this kind of overseas development complex can we achieve the economy of a scale. And by developing our own drug circulation system, and then we can link up the export and the import channels so as to achieve a more balanced distribution of our global resources. And then we can boost the sales of the TCM in different overseas market. So China is now encouraging the going global by different businesses. So we should introduce our products into the international market. We should also support such a process with the services. We should also the first step is to bring the products to the overseas market. The second step is to support the products with the services. The third step is to build up our own circulation system to achieve the global allocation of resources. We believe that through the contribution of our wisdom such as the traditional prescriptions, the TCM theory, and the product research and the global standard. We can also procure the materials from other parts of the world, such as Southeast Asia and Africa, and the production base can be allocated to the Central and Eastern European countries to achieve the global sales. This is a graph showing the full industry chain. We hope to extend the value chain. Okay, my time is up. Thank you very much.
Many thanks for your excellent remarks, and also many thanks for our audience. So TCM actually is a very important part just for China's rejuvenation and also for its sustainable development. And the TCM is expected to play a big part in achieving innovation in China's medical development and advance people-to-people connectivity between China and the world. So we do hope that just through the concerted efforts from all the stakeholders, so we would stay committed to the sustainable development of TCM. So thanks again, and this is the end for the forum.